Hey, how's everybody going today? Hope everyone's having a really good day, or had a really good day, because it's 12:36 a.m. on a Friday, which is now Saturday morning. So today I was just going to go ahead and do a drawing quietly, but I figure why don't I go ahead and just share my technique with you guys a little more. Show you how I start from the very beginning and then work my way in. This is going to probably be in India ink. Actually, it's definitely going to be in India ink. So I'm going to go ahead and do a portrait of a very important person, Martin Luther King Jr. So that I'm excited about, and so I hope you really enjoy it. So we are on YouTube and Facebook today, respectively. Respectively, is that how you say it? Yes. Just want to make sure that I have a really good picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log into YouTube, see what my picture looks like. If it's crappy, this way I can go ahead and fix that, because it might be a little dark. I'm not sure, but we'll find out together. Let's see. So give me a quick moment, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go further with this. Let's see here. Okay, so I hope your day was fun. I hope you had a great great Friday. Fridays are always interesting. You're happy it's Friday, but sometimes it goes so slow, right? That's what happens, I think, with me a lot of times. So let's see if I can get to my page here. Okay, so I wrote in my book today for the pastel painting, the pastel pilot method. So I did a really good post today. So I hope, if you haven't checked it out, I hope you get to check it out. That would be really great. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go into YouTube because it looks like Facebook on my tablet is working really weird. I really hate when they do updates, and then the updates are like, wow, really horrible. Okay, and plus no one's here yet. No, hey William, how you doing? Good to see ya. So glad you made it. Yeah, I just thought, William, I'll do some you know, some impromptu thing here. See how it you know, show you guys how I start with a drawing and then work my way into the actual ink in the airbrush. Show you guys how I start. So how's the color? Could it be a little bit lighter for you, William? What do you think? Maybe just like one shade lighter. Maybe I can just slow the shutter speed just a tad. Let's see. How's that? Is that a little better picture for you, sir? I think I'm seeing a little better picture. Let's see. Oh no, it's a little blurry, right? I appreciate that, definitely. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and work on this together, William. Thank you. How's the sound? The sound good? The other day it was kind of echoey. Let me see. So I just want to make sure it's not echoey at all. Oh, great. Okay, that's the important thing, right? To see the lines, definitely. So how you doing on this Friday night? Saturday morning, I should say. So I did a very quick, crude projection, as you can see. I really want to make sure that a lot of this is me. So I'll just do a very quick placement of some guidelines, but I'm going to be doing the drawing. So it's going to have my handwriting in it, so to speak. See, you know what, William? I love drawing so much, and you know, projecting is really good, but oh, cool, took a nap. That's, you know, that gives you the energy, right? Something about a nap just really really invigorates us most of the time. And what I like to do is basically work on the angles, make sure the angles are correct. Just going to double check and make sure. Okay, Facebook, I got to go ahead and change that. Okay, Facebook is good. Let me go ahead and get out of Facebook, otherwise those guys are going to hear echoes. And definitely at this point what I really want to do is make sure I get those angles correct. Usually a lot of things have very straight lines. I know us as people, we see the curves for whatever reason. For me, I do. So I tend to try and work in straight lines as much as I can in the beginning. And then see where those angles are turning. Yes, the grid method is really good. That's a great method, actually. Leonardo used it, so it has to be a good method. And of course the contours are going to change as I work on the inside. The form, you know, shading the form is going to describe the contour, so they're going to work together. Then I like to work both ways, coming this way and coming that way. Coming from both angles, it's sort of like you get a better sense of what's happening. You know, there's a mosquito on the ceiling. Make sure he doesn't come down and get me. Or she, right? Because it's only the female mosquitoes are the ones that bite you. And as you can see, I'm just making the line beautiful and accurate at the same time. And right here, as you can see the reference I'm working from, there's a lot of lost edges here. See, this is, so I don't even have to worry about that. That's all going to be lost. Yeah, I hope so. For my sake, right? They really fill up, right? Unbelievable, those things. I think they've been responsible for so many diseases in the past. And we've been trying to get rid of them, you know, trying genetically altering some bugs that are their predators, but it doesn't work. I think mosquitoes are going to be like one of the few things that would last after a nuclear holocaust or something. They're so resilient. And I really should be protecting my hand, because remember I always say about the oils that actually deposit from our skin onto our paper. And what I'm working on today is actually really great for Airbrush, which is Bristol vellum. And I'll show you a couple of pieces that I did work with this already. This one, that's on Bristol vellum. So this was a sepia. That was the first sepia that I did in ink, and I had a great time with that. And I think, oh yeah, that's the only one I did so far in this pad. So as you can see, it's just a pleasure to work on with Airbrush. That's a great idea. So the dryer sheet, you put it on you and the bugs don't like it? Thank you, William. I appreciate that. And we also want to make sure we really catch the little nuances of a portrait. Little things that if we don't catch would really make us lose the likeness or the character of the portrait. So right here, there's this, so this sort of comes down like a cone or something, his eye. And then it comes down like this and then over. So right there, there's this little space right here. And that is this little space that's in between there, that white of the eye. That is what I really want to catch. So that's really crucial in the likeness and just the character of this particular airbrush painting that I'm going to do. And it's, you know, the reference, of course. You know, William, that is the best thing to start with, because that is the, as you say, the windows to the soul. And in our portrait, it's definitely the star of our portrait drawing or painting. So yeah, that's good instincts, that's for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's the best place to begin. And what mediums do you like working with, William? Or what kind of paints do you airbrush with? And oh yes, that is our first love, right? That's what we started doing, and no matter what goes on in our lives, we always have the pencil and a piece of paper. That is, I'm the same thing. That's, you know, airbrush might do some things that like really blow away what you could do with a pencil, but there's something about the magic of a pencil when we were just kids, right? And we just did it. And then I'm going to move on to the other eye. Oh yeah, the Comart paints. Those are great. I used them in the very beginning, and I like them better than Createx. I like them better than that. Quick question. What do you use to thin that out? I used water because I didn't see when I was using it whether or not it had its own thinner. Do you use something different? Hey Raul, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Very good to see you. I'm doing okay. It's Friday night. Hanging out with you and William. Can't go wrong. Just, you know, I'm working on this. I'm going to do a airbrush portrait of Martin Luther King Jr. And I figured, why don't I show, you know, how it is when I first start, you know? What do I, you know, how far do I take the drawing and that sort of thing. Oh, okay, great. So William says that he doesn't thin out his Comart paints, Raul. He actually goes ahead and raises the pressure if it gets thick. So that's pretty cool. That's good to know. Let me see if I can move this over. We'll work on Mr. King's other eye here. So Raul, you're an airbrush artist as well, correct, sir? And what type of, what brand of airbrush paints do you use? Because William says he likes, he really likes the Comart. Oh, Comart too, Raul. Nice. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely The skin tones are very rich on this particular portrait. Even though it's going to be a black and white, there's some really nice textures, I think, as, you know, as airbrush artists, we're really going to enjoy. And I'm just doing these series. I don't know if you guys have been catching them. I've been doing this series of sketchbook airbrush paintings just to keep my hand going and, you know, making sure that I do a lot of small ones. Not just, you know, not just the big ones, not the big grandiose paintings. Those are great, but, you know, you're in between a lot, you know. So if you're doing quick ones, you're always doing a beginning, middle, and end. So that helps. You know, I heard about the Wicked paints. Raul said that the Wicked paints were nice. I heard a lot about that. They're a lot better than Createx normal line, right? You know, the regular Createx brand. I know Drew Blair's illustrations paints are really fantastic. Very nice viscosity. Of course, Drew is the one who basically is overseeing the operation, so how could they go wrong? Yeah, definitely. Oh, so the Wickeds are erasable as well? Now that would be cool. So as I was saying before to William Raoul, there's little spaces that, you know, and little shapes of the eye that really are crucial when trying to get his likeness in the character of any model for that matter. Now what's great about working in the... Carlos, ¿cómo estás? Amigo mío. Estoy muy contento de verte. It's really good to see you, Carlos, always. Carlos is a good friend, an amazing chef. This guy, he is great. Unbelievable. Drew Blair really is a master of realism. That is so true. And yeah, Wicked does have tons of color. I mean, amazing amounts of different colors. Wicked has like one of the largest lines out there. Now for color, I always use I like using the paints by Golden. I like Golden paints a lot. Oh, qué bueno. So tú vas a hacer un video nuevo muy pronto en YouTube? So Carlos is saying that he's actually going to go, he's actually working at home editing a video. So that's really cool. I'll tell you, the reason why I like Golden is like several reasons. You know, being in the fine art field, you know, I really want paint that has archival qualities, and so I really like using their paints because all of their paints actually... Oh, de una boda, que buena. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. So you shoot weddings, professional, Carlos? That's amazing. Yes, so I really love the Golden line because all their paints, they're heavy body, they're fluid, they're open line, they're what is it, the high flow, they all work together and they all have the same, they all use the same mediums, the same reducers, the same all the different types of gels. So you can definitely work. So why I like working with Golden is, oh, fantastic, Carlos. That's really cool. That's great. I'd love to see some of your work. Definitely. Are they on your Facebook page, some of your videos, your professional videos? I would love to see them. And so let's say if I'm doing an airbrush painting and then I want to come in with the brush, I can just get some of Golden's open line or their heavy body acrylics and go over it, use the same mediums. And since they all have the same makeup, chemical makeup, they all work together, which is great. They reduce really well. They reduce with the airbrush medium, so I use fluid acrylics, and the fluid acrylics actually thin out with the airbrush medium. It gets it to basically what airbrush paint would be. I like them a little bit thinner, so I use the high flow medium, and that actually thins them out a lot. And I just put I use water, but only 5%. You don't want to use anything more than 10 to 15%, because then the acrylic molecules, the bindings, they sort of separate, so you don't have that adherence, and it's kind of dangerous for the painting in the long run. So that's always good to know. I always talk to the chemists over there at Golden, so I'm always bending their ear. Oh, great, great. Gracias. Yo voy a verlos, Carlos. And right now I'm working on this large, sort of dark shape here. Of course I'm going to adjust it when I do go back into it with the and darken this with the graphite. Looking for those shapes, both negative and positive shapes. I definitely don't want to do this with airbrush, you know. The reason is because you want to do it with the medium that is you're most used to and you're most accurate with. So that's why pencil. I take care of all these nuances with pencil, then go in with the airbrush. So yeah, Raul, so definitely you want to try them, because I really like the way they spread. So when you thin them out, they retain their saturation, and that's what I love about them. So right here I can see that the angle is more straight here. So those are little nuances that I always try and find, those angles, making sure that I'm doing it correctly. That's going to make the difference to making them look like Martin. I want that. So I know it's going to take a little more careful work at this stage of the game, but that's okay, because it's going to be worth it at the end. Let me move this down a little bit. Let's see. There we go. We'll go ahead and work on his lips here. Now these are very soft edged, but I'm just very quickly going to indicate them. See, this angle right here is almost a straight line, so I definitely want to adjust that. So always looking at the angles and how they relate to the angle next to them, meaning this angle is going this way, and then this angle is going that way. So basically, really, I do lighten the lines, but not till the end. And then what's great, because I work with the Higgins Waterproof India ink, and what's great is that after you spray, you can erase. And it's fantastic. It's the only thing that you can actually erase after you spray, to erase the pencil lines. So there's really, I don't have to lighten it as much if I was using any kind of acrylic paint, which is cool. and you see that. So it doesn't look like much yet, but it's going to come together. And of course here we have a cast shadow that sort of blends in with the form shadow. And that's what's interesting about this piece. That's why I picked it, because all the shadows are so darn dramatic. And of course these shadows are going to dictate the contours here, and it's going to work together. So, you know, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring it all together, and it may take a while, but it's all good, you know. And then let's go ahead and come out a little bit. And definitely I want to go ahead and see how it looks with the tone. I don't want to take for granted that it's going to look good, so I'm going to try and handle that now. Yeah, it really is. I was at the supermarket on Sunday, guys, and I saw it, it's in the Life magazine, and basically I was like, wow, that would make a great painting, and yeah, a great airbrush painting. So then I looked it up on the internet and like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. Just, you know, for my own practice, and also when I photograph my model, I want to learn from this and see if I can do something very similar with my model. You guys Hey, Carlos, muy buenas noches. Always good to see you, man. Estoy muy contente a verte. Thank you so much, man. And I'm going to look at, Carlos, I'm going to look at your videos, your Boda videos. So, basically, do you guys photograph your own models? Because I do. I like doing that because I have, you know, a definite idea of what I want to see, and the only way to do that is really to photograph my own models. And then what I'm going to do after this, I'm just going to go ahead and lighten it. But I just want to make sure that the drawing is sound before I go in with the airbrush. Stock photos, a lot of artists do that, and it's great to do that. You have no copyright problems, right? And not everyone, you know, has the models or... So what made you do the stock photos, Raul? And also, William, what made you guys use the stock photos? So right here, I want to see how the dark of his mustache sort of comes in and what kind of negative space we have here. So that's very important. So Photoshop, okay, and okay, that's pretty cool. Definitely, I understand, William, yeah. Have you guys drawn on this Bristol? It's such a really nice surface. It does. It depends on what pops out at you, right? Definitely. For me, I get an idea, and just like this image in my head, sort of just like hits me, and then I start sketching it out like crazy, trying to work out, you know, what I'm trying to say with it. And this is when, my paintings that have like, more of a moral or something like that, more of a story. And so that's, once I do that, then I find myself a model, and that's not always easy. I like using the same model as much as possible, but, they have lives too, and they move on, and they aren't able to pose for me anymore. That's kind of a bummer. But I like using the same model as much as possible. Wow, so you're a graphic artist and started painting in 2008. Very cool. Yeah, so you love this surface as well, right, Raoul and William? That's really fantastic. Yeah, this is just a lot of fun. Just a beautiful medium. Okay, so now I have that. So let's go ahead and do this, this dark right here, which comes pretty close and sort of just skirts away, and then this is pretty dark. Okay, so we have this break right here in the eye. Got to make sure that this distance is correct. If not, it's not going to look right. And then we have here, which is this dark here, and it sort of just breaks in here like that. Now the mouth's going to be interesting because it's really just a composite of a couple of values here and there. So I really have to get that correct, otherwise the whole thing's going to fall apart. Okay. Oh, okay, so Raoul says your favorite medium is Border Riley marker paper, but it warps, huh? It's pretty thin. Oh, I see. And you airbrush on that? That's fantastic. I gotta try that. MDF panels. A friend of mine in Europe said that's what they call masonite. Is that correct? In the States, I think it's called masonite. That's what my friend said. What do you think? Now, Raoul, where are you from? Oh, it is? So are you in Europe? Wow, so I think it's a consensus between William and Raoul. Both of you guys are saying that is, and my friend as well. So that's good to know. Oh, that's right, Raoul, you're in Summit, right? That's right. So that the reason why I said, because all of a sudden I was like, MDF panels, I thought maybe that was you were in, got mixed up. Sorry about that, sir. There we go. How's your brother doing? That horrible thing that happened in Trenton. I remember you saying that he was there, but he's good. He wasn't shaken up too much. And so I'm going to have my work cut out for me for all these transition tones that are going on here. So as you can see, little by little, I'm just going to go ahead and check out if it's working, these values here. And then I'll go ahead and lighten this, of course. So as you can see here, when I work and I go ahead and put this in, hi, how are you, Indranil? Good to see you. Well, yes, to Indranil, to go ahead and welcome, by the way. I did a very quick projection, just, you know, to get some lines here and there and the placement, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm pretty much drawing everything in, but I just did that to get the placement. I like projecting, but not to the point where I'm projecting every single line, just so I can go in and make decisions myself, but have some clues as I'm going. Plus, it's a better way to compose it as well. Oh, so Arul says that his brother's really well. And oh, so he's showing in Brooklyn this week. Wow, that's fantastic. What type of work does he do, Raul? Okay, so now what I'm going to do. Oh, here, oh, this is great. So William says, oh, I see. So when you see something with strong lights and darks, William, you like to go ahead and accentuate those lights and darks and then soften it up as you go. Is that correct? That's actually good because you find those large shapes and then you can go ahead and do the nuances. Okay, sure, definitely. So, you know, as far as this goes, my approach is to, Indranil, is to make sure I get the large shapes first and the contours, and then I go ahead and turn the forms. You know, so basically the contours are very first, and then after that I'll get these large shadow shapes, and then after the large shadow shapes are done, that's when I'll go in and start doing the turning of the forms. And I usually start with the eyes and then the nose, the mouth, and then start working on other areas such as the hand and folds, that sort of thing. So yes, I always start with the big and then work into small as far as details. Very good question. Very good question. Hope that helps. And then, oh, okay, so we're going to work on the contours here of this hand here. And so this right here gives us a lot of clues on what's going on with the contours, you know? So that's always good to, try and get clues from other areas of your drawing or your painting. That's why I make a lot of decisions later in the painting, because you have a lot more reference later in the drawing. So you make a lot more of the subtle decisions after everything's in place. Same thing with values, right? You know the values of what's darker and what's lighter when you have everything in there. So you can say, like, okay, is the value here in the lip, is that as dark as, let's say, the value of the eye? No. Is it as dark as, let's say, the under eyelid. Yes, so that's why you make those decisions later. You don't make those decisions now because you don't have enough information to do the relative values. And as you can see, I'm just working on those contours. So you want to try and get beautiful, accurate line. And as you can see, as I did that with the hand, that's really important. That's what's going to give your drawing life and give your drawing your own handwriting. And in essence, it's going to help your painting. Alright, and let's see here. So now you can see starting to come together. Even though we don't have much, it's starting to come together. So let's work on the shape of this eyebrow, and that's going to actually help us to gauge the shape of what's going on in this negative space here. So now also, this is not too early to go ahead and gauge, like, is it as dark as this area here? And it definitely isn't. So what you want to do is you want to just get the local value, which is the value, if you squint your eye, what value would that be? So you're not putting the darkest darks, the lightest lights, just sort of like that mid-tone, you know? Oh, I know Alberto Joseph's work. Yeah. He's my Facebook friend. How cool. Yeah, he does a lot of paintings of women and stuff. That's really cool. And yes, the hands are really crucial, very important. Bad hand can ruin a piece. Yeah, if the hand's too big or too little, unless they're trying to do that. And so that's, you know, really cool. So definitely, that's the hands are very crucial. But some artists make big hands, but I think small hands are really scary. You got to make hands a different size, definitely bigger, right? That's for sure. So it's Wendy. Hey, how you doing? Wendy over at Facebook. How's your day? It's good to see you. Now Wendy just bought, she just purchased this week. She actually purchased a Eclipse. This one right here is the HP SBS, the side feed Eclipse, which is still my favorite airbrush this month. For the last couple of months, it's been my favorite airbrush. So Wendy has been practicing and she's doing really well. She watched my video last night on how to clean the airbrush, and that was really great. So very cool, very cool. So I definitely want to see some of your dagger strokes later. That would be good to see, Wendy. Oh, good to hear it. Well, thank you, Raul. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You know, it is coming along slow, but I think we're getting it, right? And I think we're, you know, we're just being patient, and we're not going in with, we don't need to go in with airbrush just yet, you know? So Raul also got the same airbrush. So you guys, you and Wendy, you both are in the same club. You both purchased the same one. So definitely talk about that one, guys. Maybe compare and contrast your, you know, your impressions, your first impressions. Thanks, Raul. Yeah, Raul, I talked to Raul about it, and, you know, so he went ahead and bought it, so that made me feel good that I was able to help him out with that. So I really appreciate that. Same with Wendy. I recommended that brush. And the reason why I feel I could recommend that brush, because oh, Wendy, did you get the Eclipse today? I mean, did you get the Micron today? That would be wild if you got the Micron today. And let's see here. So now we got these fingers here, and you see I just did a really indication. I didn't go crazy. When I project, I really just project for, as I said, just for placement. I really want most of the drawing to be done by me, you know? So, oh, so Wendy got her Eclipse. She got this one. No, I don't have it with me. She got the side feed Micron. How cool is that? That's wild. Oh man, that is really great. Wow, so Wendy is actually making, turning part of her house into an airbrush studio. And right here she says that she took apart 2 beds, 2 day beds, put one back together in a different room. Unbelievable. Don't worry about the dagger strokes. You worked hard enough. So that's enough work for you. So yeah, when you get to the dagger strokes, that's going to be just fine. And so that's neat. So Raul, have you started practicing with the Eclipse yet? Doing any dagger strokes or anything like that? Or you played with it? Now this finger here, these are one of the things that really drew me to this photo, was how expressive his hands are. And even though in the photo, this is probably like a 1960s photo, this is not, this should be much sharper and bring this in focus. So when I do the airbrush painting, I'm going to make this much sharper. And so that's why I loved it. I love the expression, how his hands are, just have so much expression in them. And I want to really touch on that in this little portrait that I'm doing. Oh man, I can't wait too. That's exciting. I have a couple of high performance airbrushes. I have the Hairline and the HPC. Those high performance brushes. They need to be some parts replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them back to life when I come into some money. So that's going to be my next investment in airbrushes. But I have a lot of airbrushes already, so I have no business purchasing more airbrushes. I have that Eclipse. I have the CMC Plus. I have the CMSB, the side feed. Just a lot of different airbrushes, and it's addictive, right? You want them, especially Iwatas. Oh, so you ordered the O-rings for your other brushes. So you repaired a few. Oh, great! Are they back in? They're back in shape. They're workable now, Raul. Raul, I did the same with this one. This is my first Micron. I got it like 5-6 years ago. And I had to replace the needle assembly, I had to replace the MAC valve, and before I had to place this needle guide. So those are the things I replaced, and you know, now it's working beautifully. Yeah, sometimes you hey Denise, how you doing? It's good to see ya. Yes, I have so many airbrushes and a lot of cameras. That's true. That's my weakness. Other people have clothes and cars. I have airbrushes and cameras. Oh, oh, cool. I'm glad you're home, Denise. Very cool. And what's really neat, the Micron, I know they're great and everything, but don't worry, you're not missing too much, because I know you must be really good with your Eclipse right now. Not your Eclipse, your other brushes. So, but yeah, when you get a chance, definitely you're going to have a lot of fun with the Micron. It's like driving a sports car, like a high octane sports car. That's the only thing I could say. I mean, it still gets you to where you have to go, but you get there in style. And I think that's how I feel about, you know, the Micron. It's just, like I said, it just gets you there in style. So as I do the mid-tone here, I can see that this shape is a lot smaller. And so like I said, with these fingers here, so expressive. So I do know Albertus Joseph's work. Alberto Joseph. Yeah, really great artist. Oh, cool. So basically multiple angles. I have this software called XSplit, which is really great. And I have several different cameras going. This one right here is a Logitech C920. And then I have this one here, that is another Logitech. And then I have this one here, that is the camera on my laptop. So altogether it's 4 cameras, so it's pretty cool. I like doing it. Sometimes I'll have another camera like off to this side so I get a different angle, but I get a lot of glare issues, so I have to figure out, you know, maybe some tripod hookup for camera number 3. Yeah, so Denise, I do love having the different camera angles. It does give me an edge on all the other live streams out there. I feel confident that I'm putting my best foot forward, and that my live streams are very enjoyable and informative. That's important to me. Yeah, you're going to love the Micron, Wendy. It's just fantastic. I like, one of the things I really love doing, oh, well, thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. I try to have a lot of professionalism as far as my production value, and just take it to that next level. And just try to do things where I could really have my viewers concentrate on the work and learning rather than crazy camera issues. Right? So I'm going to get better. I'm a work in progress, but I'm going to get better and better, and I think the sky's the limit on how I do a lot of research. I'm sort of a tech geek, and so that's sort of, I'm an artist and a tech geek, so those two things make for good live feed productions. Now I got into blogging, guys. Oh, okay. So here, basically, Raul says that he spoke of my work to his brother, and oh, so that is great. I'm so glad. So, you know, Alberto is gonna really love it. His work is gonna really blow up. I think it's really, his work is perfect for Airbrush. Yeah, that's so cool. We're Facebook friends. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Wendy. I really enjoy it. I enjoy pushing it to the next level. And I like doing things that otherwise are impossible. And in tech, you can do that, right? You can definitely figure out, like, there must be a way to have that done. And then you just continue searching the web And sooner or later you get lucky, like, wow, someone figured out how to do it. And then you just gotta watch 150 tutorials until you learn as well. And you know, even though we're doing it early, I think we are getting to the point where we are starting to get Martin's likeness here. So I went to the public library and I took out this book on online businesses and influences and just, you know, with blogs and everything. And so I got the book and then I started reading it, and I should have done this. This is my fault. The book's from 2002. No, 2012. 2002 would have been ridiculous. 2012 is kind of ridiculous because none of it is applicable right now. So I really can't read a book from 2002 on technology. So much has happened, especially in social media. So I'm like, oh no. So yeah. Oh well, thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. Denise says that she likes this Martin Luther King portrait that I'm doing. So that's encouraging. I appreciate that. And his nose here, we got to make sure that we get that because that's going to be crucial in getting his likeness. If this is off just a millimeter or two, it's not going to be good. 2002, yes, and it wasn't as bad as 2002, Denise, but it was actually 2012, and even that's obsolete. So much has happened, even in the last year of what I learned. So much is different. Like right now, I'm one of the few people, actually, I don't know anyone who's doing it, and I'm not going to be teaching anyone either out there, you know, who are doing live streams. But I do both, I can live stream on YouTube, and I can live stream on Facebook at the same time. And as you can see, these are YouTube people over here, and over here is Facebook people. And you guys are basically talking to each other. So I learned how to do that. That made me feel good. So yeah, even last year is obsolete as far as stuff like this is going. And some nights I'm actually on Twitter as well, 3 at the same time. And I'm also videotaping this, recording this on my hard drive at the same time. So it's really cool what you can do. Yes, exactly. 2012 is very, very, very obsolete. So I guess I'm pretty happy with his nostril here. And now this space here is interesting. And then right here, we definitely have to get this correct. Now, this right here is sort of, and I'll show you what I'm saying in the reference here. This little part here, if that's not correct, everything's out the window, right? And everything. So I got to make sure that I'm able to actually see that. So going back to the earlier, you know, I don't project to figure everything out and find everything and trace everything. Projection for me is basically getting the placement and then I draw it out. I love drawing too much to get rid of it. There's no way I'm going to do anything and not have the drawing aspect. This is just speeding up the process. I do like to do freehand drawing just to keep that going. Barack Obama, yeah, that might be a good one, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I might do some, you know, different figures of history, maybe recent 20th century history. Might be fun to do. You know, I really like Michaels, and they're really good, and I buy a lot of stuff from them. AC Moore too. And let me get back to the YouTube chat here. So I've been doing live streams about 3 or 4 a week now, guys. So as you can see, I lost the YouTube chat and I'm able to go back in right away because I do so many of them that I'm able to see a problem and deal with it really fast. And that's, you know, it's hard work, right? To get to the next level of anything. And as you guys know with Airbrush, it's hard work. Yes, Kajol, you were mentioning her. She's really great. So as you can see, guys, this little thing here, that's going to make a big difference. And also, when I do paint, I got to realize that there's going to be a lot of edge work that I have to pay attention to. Right now, I'm just doing crude linear estimations of where everything is. And then I'm going to go ahead when I go in with the airbrush. And when I go in with the airbrush, I'm going to really get some really nice gradations, a lot like what I did with this airbrush painting. You see Natalie Wood, and I still have a lot of work to do with Natalie, but you see how we get from here to here. It's a long trip to get there, so without this part wouldn't look right. So it's really important to make sure that we get every step correct. I think art is very much like geometry. I know we all took geometry. Yeah, definitely. We all took geometry, and when you learn geometry, each step is important for the next step. And if you lose one step in that pragmatic learning, linear learning, then everything falls apart. And I think the same thing with the drawing. If I lose something here, when I go in with the airbrush, I'm not getting it back. So that's just no way. So yeah, definitely. Okay, and then over here I can definitely find this with the airbrush. But these like linear shapes here, those are things that I really should be doing with a pencil. So right here there's this like really nice soft dark here. Same thing here. Geometry was fun. I really enjoyed it. You're going to enjoy it, you know, with Pythagoras, and that was pretty fun. Trigonometry was kind of gross. And so Wendy, how is the studio looking? Is it looking good? Let's see. Then I'm going to realize that here's something interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly, we're going to go into, so if you look right here, see this shape? It goes out in almost like a slipper, that dark. So that's what I look for. I actually look for that. Otherwise, if I don't, I'm going to miss the bow. It's going to be too generalized, and I'm going to be missing the real character of him. So now it's good because I have the general size of this shape, but now I got to get into the nuances, right? That's when I got to go further with that. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that slipper shape here. Now, it comes out like right about here and then goes up, and then this comes out like that. Almost have it. And then of course this dark sort of comes out like that. It's a little harsh looking right now, but we'll fix that with the airbrush down the line. It really does, William. Looks like a footprint. Exactly. And that's a good way to thinking when you're drawing. You know, what does it look like? What's the shape? Let's not always look at it as a nostril, because then we can get, you know, involved with our symbolic notion of what a nostril looks like, what an eye looks like, what a blonde girl's hair, what color is it? Is it yellow? Is the tree brown? If we can look at things and say, well, what color is that tree? Oh, that tree looks like a pancake color, you know, it's like whatever pancakes are to you. And then that's when we find the color. So it's pretty cool to really look at things that way. Wow, so that's really great. That's going to be a great studio. Yeah, Wendy's really going all in on the airbrush, which I think is fantastic. I'm excited for her. She's going to do great. She already did a portrait last month, and it was just out of this world. And she's going to take that knowledge and bring it into the airbrush. So Raul and William, what is some advice that you have for Wendy starting out as an airbrush artist in the very beginning? What's your advice that you would give her? And just bring this in like right here. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and pull out. That's great. So William says to, as advice to a new airbrush artist, to practice your control. And then Raul says, go light, can always darken. William also says lines, dots, and daggers are important. Yes, the all important dagger stroke, right guys? That is important, so yes. Oh, you're welcome, Wendy. And that's really cool. So right now I'm pretty happy with this, and I think that we're making good headway, no pun intended. And so basically I'm just going to go ahead and just pull out this, and this is just going to be how he fades into the background there. So already I really think that we have a pretty nice likeness here, and that makes me feel good. And I think, right, you know, Williams, like no pain, what no gain, right? I mean, I can tell you how many hours I practiced just in the very beginning when, oh my God, it was just so hard. I would be in awe at the airbrush people like, oh my God, look at the control. They, you know, in the beginning it was like riding a Bronco buck, you know. Oh, you going to sleep already, Denise? Well, you have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. And we'll just work on that contour right there. And yeah, so basically it's just a lot of practice. You know, I used to carry this airbrush around, and like while I was working, I worked on the phones with Amazon. So I'd be on the phone just, you know, practicing. Even though it wasn't connected, I pretend I was doing dagger strokes and dots and just getting my hand used to it. And I would do that like 6 times a day. That would be one thing I did to really practice. When you don't have a compressor and you're out, just take it with you. And I used to do that. And then I used to practice eyeballs, just drawing eyes, then circles. One of the things I would always practice, just can I airbrush a circle? That was very hard, and when I learned how to do that, that felt good. Didn't happen for a while. It was horrible. It was just terrible in the beginning. I was able to paint portraits, but I don't feel I had the control. You know, since I've been painting so long, you know, it's almost like calligraphy, right? If you're an artist, you can, you know, you can just go ahead and fake calligraphy, and I used to do that a lot. But you're really not doing the strokes, you know, and that's how it was in the beginning. You know, I would paint, they would come out good, but I really wasn't having the control I should have. Yeah, practice is really, really great. That's good, you know. Make sure you have that cap on, because during the day you could poke yourself. So make sure you have that cap on and the back cap on. And just, you know, practice during the day. Hold it while you're watching TV or anything, and that's always good. On the outside, you know, if you bring it to, let's say, a meeting or something like that, they first might think that, you know, it's a marijuana pipe, and I've gotten that so often, and that's always interesting. Yeah, that's the first thing people look. They don't think it's an airbrush, especially the Iwatas. They do have that sort of pipes kind of quality about them. And then I'm just working out the darks of the finger here. There's a lot of really darks, mid-tone, and light. So I'm just going to indicate that. Now work on much of that in the actual airbrush painting part. Yeah, right, it does. It does have a very weird look. Definitely different, right? Now we have this finger over here, and then we have the third finger. Really only 3 fingers are visible. So I'm just going to go ahead and just indicate that. Just make sure I get some of the major shapes. There we go. And I think that's going to help us. You know, it's so true. They are coming in from the shadow, and that's going to be tricky. You're so right. And William, it's going to be a little difficult, but we'll take care of it. We'll get there. So it's like me doing a underpainting. I use India ink for underpaintings for my airbrush, for my pastels. So basically I'm just taking the underpainting and just going to the next level. So yeah, that is so true, William. And thanks for that heads up. So we have this here. We want to make sure we get this hand correct, this shadow area here. Always looking at the borders, how they are, you know, how they interact with one value to the next, just to give me an idea of when I do start going in with the airbrush, what type of border there are, right? What kind of borders there are. So Wendy says on the micron, if you tighten the end or loosen it, you lock the trigger. Yes. So I don't have the backing on the micron, but this one here has the backing. So this right here, I don't know what's the technical term for this thing. So, but definitely it goes, if you see here, let's focus on that. See how when I move the backing, this sort of moves up, and as it moves up, it limits how far I can go back with the needle. and then when I move it back, the needle is able to go further back. So yeah, this is more for illustrators. I don't think fine artists would ever use this. That's for sure. So that is something that I don't even recommend using it, because I want everyone to really have a feel of how far to go back, not something to keep you from going back. I hope that helps. But yeah, that thing, so make sure that always is all the way back, and this way you won't be impeded from going, you know, back on that. Let me fix the focus. I really love the way using a DSLR as a webcam, you can take things to that next level, you know? And also Wendy says that the square button is rigid, and oh, I see. Yeah, so are you meaning the trigger, right? Yes, it's they changed it. It used to have a trigger very similar to this here, and now it's a square trigger. My CMSB is in the other studio, but yeah, I definitely know exactly what you mean by that. Yeah, so William says, and very good, thank you, sir. He says that it's a trigger restrictor. It's good for repetitive lines, so a lot of illustrators will use that for straight lines. Yeah, sometimes they're really in there, so you have to pull that back. So that's true, Wendy. Definitely. So right now I'm pretty happy with where I am. Okay, so we have something interesting here, his hairline. So I don't want to take that for granted. I was saying earlier, hairline is one of the most important things in getting a likeness. If the hairline is off, it won't look like the person. It's very weird. Stuff I learned as painting people for many, many years. Painting and drawing people. Now right here, this actually describes the anatomy of his head here. That's very important. And we're going to get in there. We're going to, you know, be able to really get more finely honed in on values and whatnot later down the line with the airbrush. But definitely we're going to make sure we have a very good roadmap. Okay, same thing here. And I don't really have to worry because I'm able to do a lot of erasing with the India ink, the waterproof India ink by Higgins. It definitely is different than the waterproof ink that you get from, let's say, Liquitex, or even the other brand, which is FW. Now they're great, don't get me wrong. I did this with the FW and the Liquitex. It was fun, but it's not as forgiving as this. It's not as forgiving as the Higgins. That really, this is Higgins right here. So, you know, I'm able to do so much with that. So I'm just trying a lot of different things, guys, and really really just not taking my knowledge for granted, trying new things. And that's what's great about working on small pieces here. I can just do something really radical. I mean, if it doesn't come out good, I'm good with it, right? It's all good, it's no problem. if I'm working on a really large piece, like 4 feet by 3 feet, and it doesn't come good, I'm gonna cry. So I'm definitely much more tentative when it comes to that. So pretty good thus far. Here we got some pretty abstract lines going here. His collar. And then there's, I mean, these are, you know, real general lines. They're in the shadow, but I think they're going to be important to make all this believable. Then we got his hand here, just an indication of his palm. Just so expressive. And then we have his collar. Excuse me, guys. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Good to see you, man. So glad you stopped by. How you been, okay? It's always great to see you, man. It's always great to see you guys. I always miss yous. So this was just like an impromptu sort of, you know, let me do one real quick, you know, feeling kind of blah, right? And, you know, just sort of, you know, go ahead and just knock one out, but do it with you guys. So Joe says, oh, okay, different mediums. Oh, great. Oh, so you're working with some airbrush and some airbrush done with coffee. You know, I tried that last month, and I don't know, I guess the coffee wasn't strong enough. It just didn't work, but that's cool. I would love to see some of that. So if you ever get a chance, IM me that. I would love to check that out. Oh man, it's hot in Vegas, right? What's the temps over there? I know Wendy said that she's dealing with 100-degree temperatures within the next few days. Is that correct, Wendy? Is it within the next few days or even today? And I'm just working on these midtones here. Some of these shapes. And these shapes are all sort of blending in with each other. 112, holy Toledo. Wow, I've never seen 112 outside. That must be amazing. Whew. Is it really unhealthy for animals and just people in general when it gets that hot? Wow, Wendy had 104. It was like 82 here and I was cranky. See, you know, we complain, I complain, but oh my God, you guys are a whole different level. What do you guys think about it, Raul and William, about that kind of heat? Wow, that's rough. That is really rough. So I feel for you guys. So Wendy says the temp was 100 but miserable with the humidity and the ozone alerts. Wow, so sunburn is really a problem, huh? Well, thanks, Joe, for letting us know how hot it is there. And Wendy, yeah, that's really unbelievable. So here's his shirt. Now, do I go ahead and... Okay, so we have this. It comes out like this, and then the shirt comes there. And then we could go ahead. And then this. Well, first thing we do, we have to find where this shirt is in relation to this shadow here. And then right here, what angle. I would say just like that. And then this part of the shirt comes in like this. Okay, so just basically getting an idea, and that helps, right? That really does. Oh, Philly does get hot in the summer, that's for sure. And Wendy says that, and Raul, stay in the house. Yes, the AC is a must, right? Unbelievable. And Wendy says the breathing is really bad for asthma. I could imagine. Not a place for asthma sufferers, huh? That's for sure. You wouldn't want to get stuck out there. That part's kind of scary. Yeah, asthma sufferers and emphysema, those are really horrible, horrible diseases. And only someone who, you know, is suffer from it, or a loved one suffers or has suffered from it, do you really know how horrible those things are. And must be so scary. You know, we are almost done with the drawing part of this, which is really cool. And I'm really happy. So this way, either tomorrow or during the week, we can go ahead and work on the painting aspect of this. Oh yeah, so William, you get congested, so that's rough, right? It really messes things up. And Wendy, and so yeah, everyone is sweaty, right? Just that hot. Oh my God, you just want to get in the house. I can imagine. I lived in Florida. I think the worst I ever got in Florida was maybe 104. I lived in Central Florida, in Kissimmee, just outside of Orlando. I worked in Orlando. That was fun. I enjoyed it. One day I may end up back in Orlando. It just was a fun life. But born and raised in New Jersey, you know, in the New York City area, you know, it's hard to stay away. Just an indication of the crease of his shirt. That's going to help. And then we have these little creases here. And then we can go ahead and say, you know what? We're going to be done for the drawing aspect of this. And also I'll show you how I lighten things up a little bit. So did any of you guys work in pastel? Because I'm actually in the middle of writing a book, which is the pastel palette method. And I'm doing that on my blog. So if you guys get a chance, check out paintedglyphs.blogspot.com. And I use a lot of techniques that I learned from Airbrush. And I use the Airbrush underpainting. And it's really cool if you haven't used... if you guys haven't used Airbrush, pastel before, it's really a great way to start using pastel with Airbrush with this method. Because my own technique was actually born out of, you know, wanting something a little smoother. And then when I started with Airbrush, I incorporated a lot of the Airbrush techniques into my pastel method. And I may get more detailed with this down the line, that's for sure. That's something that I am going to do there. But let me see here. Maybe a little off camera a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and work on some nuances here. But pretty much, I think we're pretty much set here. I think we have a really good indication of where I want to go. So let me see if I can show you. Oh, I actually use the dry pastel, so that would probably be the chalky ones. Yes. So those are the ones that Edgar Degas used. Those are the good ones. They work really well, Joe. And the way that I work is totally my own. So I'm in day 11, so I'm doing a part of my book every day. And so I go into my technique from the very beginning of my revolutionary way of doing it. And definitely, so definitely check it out if you want to try it. This is the way to learn pastel, definitely. And if you try it with my way, I'm here for you for questions, right? So that's good. And the book, which is online, is actually going to tell you step by step how to approach it, which is going to be pretty wild. You know, different techniques of how I blend it. I actually mix the pastels before they go on the surface. So think about that. It's revolutionary. Hasn't been done before. Pan Pastels tried it and failed, but this is the way to do it. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to be doing the book every day until it's done. So tomorrow I'm going to be working on it little by little, and then when it's done, maybe in the autumn or maybe sooner, I'm not sure, but that's my priority right now. Even more so than the videos is to get that book done. And the videos are so important to me. Now, as far as a set to recommend, to the very beginning, I would recommend getting 2 sets if you can. The first one is Cretacolor Pastel Carré. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that down right here. Okay. Cretacolor Pastel Carré. It's a 72-piece set, and that's really good. They're the hardest pastels basically you can purchase, and this is what you use in the initial stages. The next stage which you want to get is you want to get some Rembrandt Pastels. That would be the next one up. And so Cretacolor, Rembrandt, and then when you can, get the Holbein 72-piece. I believe it's the portrait set. Those are the ones you want to get. This is a good way to start here. What's really good about the Cretacolor is that they have the pastel pencils, which are the same brand, and they are the same color and they work really great. So that's really good. The Holbeins are fantastic because they're middle of the road. They're not too hard, not too soft. So with here, you would be able to get through any painting, especially with my technique. Down the line, you want to get softer pastels, and those pastels, now I know more about pastels than I know about airbrushing. I've been doing pastels since I was, what, 20 years old? And so with pastels, you want to eventually get the brand Sennelier. Those are handmade from Paris. Edgar Degas used them. Then you want the... Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Wendy, for writing that down for me. I appreciate that. And then the Sennelier, that's your softest of the soft. Just before that is this brand called Schmink, or Schminky. They're German. They're really soft and buttery. Those are the ones you want to use at the end of the pastel painting, because pastel is basically has to do with a surface. The more pastel you put on that surface, the more it gets overloaded. So you want to work from your hard pastels, and as you layer, you go to the soft pastels. If you start with the soft pastels, when you go to the hard over it, it's not going to work. So you have to go just like light for dark, right? Think about airbrush, guys. You go light to dark, not dark to light. Same thing, and that's with pastels. You want to go from hard to soft. But definitely, you guys go into pastels. All my God knows how many years experience is at your disposal. But you're gonna love the book if you get a chance. If you get a chance, I know you guys are. It's hard enough to find the time to airbrush, right? So, but if you have the time, man, I'm here for you. Yes, the schmink, and thank you so much, Wendy. Wendy's so cool to write that down for you guys. So that's very helpful. So right here, I think I missed the size here. So definitely, I don't use the oil pastels. I'm not sure what's going on with them. I just never seen how they could really be a viable art form. A lot of issues with them as far as longevity and just, I don't know. Yeah, the never really were taken seriously in art schools either. So that's maybe why I have that opinion too. But yeah, soft pastels are definitely the way to go. Man, I gotta show you guys in the other studio my pastel collection. It's ridiculous. I probably could buy a couple of cars with it if I sold them. Sold the pieces. And then over the years, what you do is, Schminky does make great watercolor paints. They really do. And Holbein makes really good airbrush paint. So yeah, these... you definitely want to be with a paint company that has a lot of different lines, because that means they have great pigment. Well, it doesn't mean that, but if they have good quality in one, they're most likely going to have good quality in another medium. Yeah, someone in my past, she loved schmink. Her eyes would light up whenever she saw that brand at the art store, because they sell them separately, and she just loved them. Me, my brand is Holbein and Winsor & Newton. Wow, I would say Winsor & Newton is right there with Holbein. Winsor and Newton. Right there with Holbein. Those are really beautiful saturation. The colors are just so nice. And yeah, I try and do as much, you know, I try to make sure that I'm doing a pastel painting, you know, alternating between pastel and airbrush, because I love airbrush so much, but I'm not giving up almost 30 years of working with in pastels. But yeah, I think if I found airbrush from the very beginning, I don't think I ever would have went into pastels, because I think the payoff is really fast with airbrush. They are now the yes, the pastels are very much like crayons. Yes, and Winsor & Newton Holbein, thank you so much. They are so close. It's close in the way that they rub onto the surface, and it's really great. And how saturated they are and how they cover, really cool. But if you're ever ready, definitely, if you're ever ready, Raul, to go take the plunge in pastels, you give me your budget, and then I could actually help you get a, you know, give you the advice on what would be a good starter set for your budget so you can start painting. And you can start painting if you just want to do like limited palette. You can do that and then build. So I'm pretty happy so far with this, and I think that's gonna be it really, and then I'm just gonna, you know, maybe off camera. So okay, so this is what I would do. I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly lighten up some of this stuff. Now yes, it's true that with the ink I can go ahead and erase after I put down the ink with the airbrush, but it's always best to lighten it, make it a little bit easier. And you see I'm just lightening everything up here. And of course, you guys know that these kneaded erasers are self-cleaning when you do this. It just sort of cleans itself, which is great. So today, you guys can all see that, you know, even though I did project this, a lot of this was drawn on my own. And that is very important because of, you know, finding my own handwriting on here. As far as like stencil goes and stuff like that, not a big fan because oh, thanks Raul. Not a big fan of taking away the drawing aspects. If I had a lot of time, I would never project because I love drawing so much. But for time constraints and getting stuff done, yeah, definitely. I definitely will project. Now, I've been drawing since I was a kid, studied drawing in some of the best art schools out there, so it's not like I can't do it. It's just this saved me a lot of time. You know, it's so true, William. William says, thank you so much. He said that the drawing is beautiful. I appreciate that very much, sir. And he said that, you know, an accurate drawing is so important. And I agree. I agree. Now, the more time I spend here, the better time I'm going to have when I come in with the color. That's all there is to it. If I rush this, it's going to show up. If I just projected it, it's going to show up. But if I did it this way, it's going to have more character, it's going to be more accurate, and I'm going to be happier with it. And let's face it, the most important thing is for us to be happy with our work. So I know that the longer I spend with this, if I gave another hour, maybe it would even come out better. It will definitely come out better, especially with these little details with the hands and stuff. So that is very important. And so yeah, so that's basically it. That's where we are. I'm pretty happy. There's a lot of other little nuances here, and I'm going to go and do that with the airbrush. But I feel confident that, you know, I have the large shapes, and then I could go ahead and, you know, work on these values and bring it all together. And so that's basically it. The most, you know, the most important thing, I believe, in any painting, whether it's airbrush or pastel, oil, is the drawing. If the drawing is sound, it's going to be great. I can even get the color screwed up. If the drawing looks good, that's fine. Drawing and the value, then I can basically do anything, right? You know, do anything with that. So that's really cool. So I hope you guys have a great evening. It is 2:20 on a Saturday morning. Anyone doing any art stuff this weekend before I go? Any art shows or going to museums, or got any pieces that you're working on? I basically am just going to work on this. I'm going to finish Natalie here. I love Natalie Wood. I am going to work on a large painting. I'll show you this this board. I made this 24 by 36 board here, and I'll show you here. Let me change the camera. So here's a 24 by 36 board I made. It's with masonite. And let's see, it is tempered hardwood, which is tempered masonite. So I really love this surface, and the surface just has this feeling of bone. And it's in the book. I'm using this. This is going to be a pastel. So in the book, I actually go over my formula. So that's on the blog that I'm working on. Let me put that back. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Sort of a surreal piece, which is going to be interesting. A woman, a girl actually like in a wall where she's actually like part of graffiti. So sort of a reaction to growing up in New York, in the New York City area, going to school in New York City, seeing a lot of graffiti. So that's sort of something that I'm currently working on. So William says, cool. William says that he's doing a Southwest painting, and that's really cool. Art Deco style. That's great. That's fantastic. I can't wait to see that. That's nice. Oh, you're very welcome for the tutorial, William. I really appreciate you guys all coming and hanging out with me. You really made my oh, thank you. Wendy says that she enjoys the blog. That makes me happy. So the blog in the last month got almost 1,000 views. That's not a lot as far as blog. For me, it feels good. So that's pretty cool. And well, Joe, you're very welcome. Joe says, thanks for posting as much as I do. I appreciate that, Joe. I like giving. I like giving back. I was lucky enough to have a really good art education. So if I can share it with you guys, and that makes me feel good, you know. And so yeah, keep it going. Work as much as you can. I'm probably going to be here tomorrow. So if you guys want to, just shoot me an email at paintingglyphs@gmail.com. And if I can, sometimes I do it, but if I have one scheduled a while, I'll shoot you guys an email that I'm going to do a live feed. And so, so Raul says if I get a chance to, his stuff is on Thunder 2165. Oh, okay, cool. I definitely will look into that. I appreciate that. Let me write that down. So let's see. So we got Thunder 2165 dot. So that's on DeviantArt, right? Deviant.com. I definitely will check out and leave a comment. Wow, thank you, Raul, for that nice comment. And Wendy, thank you so much. Always, she's always so encouraging to me, and she's really great. All right, guys, so I'm going to wish you guys a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully we'll see each other tomorrow. If not, next time, guys. God bless yous.